Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibis? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. It's so good to have you here. It's Friday. It's crazy to think a week ago CrimeCon started. This week's flown by. This is only my third episode of the week. Next week, we'll be doing one every day. I showed you guys that stack of letters from my contact in prison. I'm going to dive into those, see if we can do a couple of prison series episodes. We haven't done those in a while. We still have other cases to catch up on, but today it's Kouri Richins' turn. Before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, you know the drill. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, share it with your friends, and you can ring my bell if you want notifications of when I post new content. Just click that little bell icon. Music fact of the day. What are some songs that were written about other celebrities? Leonard Cohen's Chelsea Hotel No. 2 is about Janis Joplin. Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani is about Courtney Love. And Dude Looks Like a Lady is about Vince Neil from Motley Crue. There you go. Now you know. Look at this, y'all. We finally got Chad Daybell's new mugshot. He looks very pleased with himself, and it kind of makes me throw up in my mouth a bit. We'll see how happy he is after a year or two on death row, decade or two, because that's his reality for the rest of his life. What a sick man. I have to give a big shout out. Not sure if you guys can see this. Clarksville Roller Derby. I was gifted some t-shirts. I'm going to start wearing them now that they're all clean. I want to say what's up to the Clarksville Roller Derby girls. Keep on doing it. I love roller derby. I wish my knee would allow me to play, but I'd end up in traction. So I do like to watch it. Hope you guys went out the rest of your season. Keep on keeping on, sisters. I'm going to start messing around on my graphics again. Be patient with me. I'm trying to find something that works. And I have a new itch for the summer. I'm going to completely redo the studio. It's going to be awesome. I got some good ideas. My dad's going to pop in and help, which means it's going to be even more amazing because he's good at everything he does. I think behind here, I'm going to get some wood acoustic slats, then have the glow kind of go up on those. I'm going to get new carpet, all kinds of really cool stuff. Of course, I say that now and then it'll be fall and here we are with the same backdrop, but that's my plan. Let's talk about Kouri Richins because it's been a while since we've done an update episode on her, and I really want to stay current with her case. It is so convoluted. There's a lot going on and a lot to come, I think. I'm just going to play some footage from one of her past hearings here as we go through this. Just to recap, Kouri was arrested May 8th of 2023. She was charged with the murder of her husband, Eric Richins. She's accused of poisoning him with a fatal dose of fentanyl and then going on to write a children's book about grief. At the time of Kouri's arrest, she was charged with aggravated murder, possession or use of a controlled substance, as well as 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Just last month, prosecutors eliminated all of those charges except for the aggravated murder. But let's hope Kouri didn't get too excited with all those dropped charges because they slapped her with 10 new charges, including attempted criminal homicide, 2 counts of distribution of a controlled substance, 2 counts of mortgage fraud, 2 counts of insurance fraud, and 3 counts of forgery. The attempted criminal homicide charge stems from the alleged first attempt to poison Eric on Valentine's Day. Kouri ordered a sandwich from his favorite deli, sat it in the seat of his truck, and after one bite, he immediately broke out into hives. He had to use his son's EpiPen and drink a bottle of Benadryl. He later told a friend he thought Kouri was trying to poison him. Now, in text that same day between Eric and Kouri, he texted her, "I'm going to lay down for a bit. If I don't start getting better, I'm going to head to the hospital." Kouri said, "Geez, is that bad? Need me to come home?" Eric slept, and at 1:43, he texted Kouri asking if she was home. She responded she was in Provo, Utah, waiting on her cabinet installer guy. Also, that same morning, Kouri texted her boyfriend. Headed that way, she also included a screenshot of her navigation map showing an ETA of 10:47 a.m. 3 months after Eric's death, Kouri explained the Valentine's Day incident with a friend of hers, saying, "It was Valentine's Day and Eric and I were both working from home that day, and I ordered lunch from the diner. He never broke out in hives or used an EpiPen." There's a wordy dirt in here, but I think she said I was effing with him. He said the sandwich hurt his stomach, so he was going to take a nap. No hives, no EpiPen. Let's move on. Just a little recap. On February 14th of 2023, Kouri accepted a plea in abeyance and pled no contest for the assault of Eric's sister Amy. That was a dispute that happened days after Eric died. The altercation happened after his sister Amy saw that a locksmith was there at the house and was hired to break into Eric's safe. If you remember, Eric had changed that trust to his sister. Those charges would have been dismissed if she complied with a thinking errors class or grief counseling and also paid the court $1,105. But she did not complete any of those requirements, and the court issued a show cause hearing to address the failure on her part. Her plea in abeyance was changed to guilty, and she was sentenced to jail time with credit for time served. We did have a preliminary hearing that was scheduled for May 15th in order for the judge to decide if there was enough probable cause to move forward to trial. On April 9th, the state filed a motion to pre-admit exhibits for the preliminary hearing in order for the defense to object to any intended exhibits, which would also give the judge time to rule before that preliminary hearing. That motion revealed several new things we hadn't heard about. The defendant's paramour consented to the seizure and search of a cell phone. Law enforcement also obtained warrants to seize and search his phone. As part of law enforcement's investigation, detectives seized the defendant's cell phone pursuant to a warrant. Examination of the phone revealed a series of text messages between the defendant and her best friend regarding allegations in a civil suit that the defendant attempted to murder Kouri Richins on February 14th of 2022. Jail calls between Kouri, her mother, and her brother referenced the same thing. Also, documents from lenders that Kouri had hard money loans from regarding the mortgage fraud charges were in there. After no response from the defense, the state asked for a hearing for the judge to issue a ruling. That hearing was scheduled for May 12th. In the meantime, the state filed a motion to compel to someone named Marie Bramwell of Gordon Law Group, asking the judge to order her to produce information regarding her representation of Kouri in divorce proceedings based on a subpoena that had been previously issued. The filing included a copy of a canceled check from the law firm for the return of a retainer dated January 12th, 2022. Don't forget, her mom and brother said that Eric and Kouri were the happiest they had ever seen them, and that falls very flat knowing what we know now. At the May 12th hearing, now former attorney, Sky Lazaro said she didn't object to those exhibits coming in. Prosecutor Brad Bloodworth told the court they would be filing a bench brief and additional exhibits shortly in anticipation of that preliminary hearing. Ms. Lazaro said she would file an objection if needed by the end of the next day. The state did file that bench brief, and boy, did it have some information in it. The state alleges that the murder was committed for financial gain. It says in there, the state planned on laying out the evidence with count 2, that's the attempted murder charge, because the timeline is important to a complete understanding and analysis and reasonable inferences that the court can draw from. The state will show that Kouri attempted to and ultimately murdered Eric with fentanyl that she purchased from financial gain because she was in financial distress. She also did so because she had a planned future with her paramour. And if she divorced Eric, she wouldn't have any money from his business and possibly no custody of her children. Eric and Kouri executed a premarital agreement prior to their marriage that said Eric's business was his alone, as were the proceeds, even if they were commingled. Kouri started Kouri Richins Realty in April of 2019 and acted as a realtor, but primarily bought, rehabbed, and sold properties. In March of 2019, Kouri used a forged power of attorney to get a $250,000 home equity line of credit on the home that Eric purchased before he married her. She took $60,000 at the time of the mortgage, and then from August of 2019 to June of 2020, she took 50 draws in amounts ranging from $280 to $21,000. All of these coincided with the remodeling of a property Kouri acquired in August of 2019. In 2020, Kouri took out loans totaling $2.2 million from hard money lenders with huge interest rates and repayment terms to finance her lifestyle and also purchase 5 properties. By 2021, Kouri has totally exhausted her financial resources. And by mid 2021, Kouri solved her need for more cash by borrowing high interest, fast money loans where an amount of accounts receivable would be sold in exchange for an immediate lesser sum. The loan would require either daily or weekly payment until the obligation was fulfilled. For example, on September 30th of 2021, Kouri Richins, on behalf of Kouri Richins Realty, entered into a revenue purchase agreement with Greengrass Holdings. Under that agreement, her company sold $87,000 of furniture earnings for $60,000 cash. She was obligated to pay $5,438 per week. After paying about $21,000, Kouri stopped making payments and defaulted on that loan. And ultimately, she was sued by this Greengrass company. By the end of 2021, Kouri's debt obligations just ballooned. Her payments were increased to an unsustainable level. She made numerous payments that her bank either overdrafted or returned unpaid due to a negative account balance. During this time, get this, y'all, her monthly payments were $205,000 up to $368,000, but that debt was growing faster than her revenue. And it just created massive chaos in all of her bank accounts. Eric first learned of the home equity loan on his house in October of 2020. And that's when he happened to go to the bank, and the bank representative told him about the fully advanced $250,000 loan, as well as 2 maxed out credit cards. Matt Throckmorton, he's a handwriting expert. He gave his opinion that there is a strong probability that the initials on the POA that was used to get that home equity loan were forgeries and not done by Eric. Shortly after that, Kouri exchanged text messages with her best friend saying, "I don't know what to do. If he thinks I owe him money, then that's fine. I'll pay whatever he thinks and then I'm out. It's getting a little out of hand." Her best friend asked, "How much did you take out?" Kouri responded, "A lot." Her friend asked, "How long do you think it would take you to pay Eric back?" Kouri says, $250,000. It'll take me a couple of months until my investments pay out. So I just got to be top notch careful. He's totally going to, I feel like, and then the crap will hit the fan. And there's nothing more important to me than the boys and making sure custody is always going to be at least 50-50. And if he digs and finds something, I don't want him hiring some expensive attorney to fight for the kids or something. It goes on to say the court can reasonably infer that Eric confronted Kouri, and the state has expert witnesses, Brooke Carrington, who is that forensic accountant who testified at Kouri's detention hearing last June. She also would be testifying at this preliminary hearing and would say that Kouri had no investments to repay that money in a couple of months. The home equity loan was overdrawn when Eric died to the tune of $254,000. In November of 2021, she was facing a lawsuit for that defaulted loan. Kouri again used hard money lenders to acquire 3 more properties totaling over $1.1 million using no money of her own. In December of 2021, Kouri owed $368,000 in monthly payments, and that was 94 different payments. Some of those were weekly, some were daily. In the same month, Kouri made very little revenue. Her bank account started with $14,000. She deposited $216,000 and then turned around and spent $254,000. She ended that month with a negative $22,000 balance. There were lots of other bank accounts with that same kind of activity. In 5 months, in one account, she had 198 overdraft fees totaling $5,000. On the day Eric was killed, she had over $3.1 million in loans, also had defaulted on one loan and was about to default on others. Her financial life was spinning out of control and headed to financial collapse. Regardless of her spiral, she was about to get another $3 million in loans for this Midway mansion that was going to take millions of dollars to complete. and Kouri had no money to do it. In a very stark contrast, Eric's estate was valued at an estimated $5 million dollars at the time of his death. It's pretty reasonable interference that Kouri thought she was going to get a very hefty payout if Eric was gone. We talked a little bit about Kouri's paramour. Along with the financial mess, we know Kouri was having an extramarital affair, which she conducted before, during, and after Eric's death. On December 7th of 2021, just 2 days before her paramour's birthday, and also Eric was still alive, Kouri booked an all-inclusive romantic 5-night getaway at Secrets St. Martin Resort and Spa for herself and her paramour at the cost of $4,211 while on the verge of financial collapse, y'all. The trip was scheduled for April of 2022, the month after Eric was killed. It was also revealed she was texting her boyfriend the very night Eric died. On March 3rd, 2022, before he was killed, Kouri's boyfriend texted her, "Love you," and there was a photo of a couple kissing. After about an hour, Kouri responded, "Love you," with a kissy face emoji. In an email to investigators before she was arrested, she said Eric was the one cheating. She wrote, "Eric's affair was the same year I moved out. The trust was created as well as him looking into a divorce." She went on to explain to investigators she never actually moved out, but did move her clothes to make Eric think she was, if, according to her, he did not end things with the other woman. Later that month, while wrapping Christmas gifts with somebody called Witness Number 8, she was telling them of her frustration that there was no easy path forward in divorcing Eric. She was concerned he would turn their kids against her and also worried he would use his family's money to take the kids away from her. She said she felt stuck in the marriage and did not see a way out, and said in many ways it would be better if Eric Richins were dead. The following day, Kouri texted her paramour, "I'm in love with a man that's not my husband, and I want to, but I can't break up my family. It's like having your cake and eating it too. I do just want to love you. I do love you." The paramour replied, "I thought you were getting a divorce." Kouri then said, "That's what I'm saying. What if that's in a year? You're just supposed to sit around and wait for me? No, I would never ask you. LOL." Back to more current times. On May 17th, her defense attorneys filed a motion to withdraw their representation, saying that there's irreconcilable and non-waivable situations. In the filing, her attorney, Sky Lazaro, said that Kouri does not have access to the financial resources to retain a private attorney, and to elaborate on that would violate attorney-client privileges. That motion was granted by the judge on May 20th. Kouri was not happy with the withdrawal. She said it was not her choice and says her defense was forced to withdraw. On the same day her attorneys filed to withdraw from the case, the defense asked the judge to disqualify the prosecutor over what they call severe violations that compromised their defense and also violated Kouri's rights to effective counsel. The filing said that Kouri's phone calls with her attorneys were recorded from May through December of 2023 and that the prosecution had listened to some of those calls. The state fired back and said it's the defense's fault. They did not use an app that protects attorney-client calls, and her defense was aware of this. Also, the state denied they listened to any of those phone calls. There was a hearing on May 22nd, and in the hearing, the judge ordered the jail to halt any interviews with Kouri until she had been appointed a public defender. The next day, it was announced that Kouri had made a recording through a spokesperson and had told them to give it to Dateline. On the Dateline True Crime Daily podcast, the audio was played. Kouri said she was frustrated being locked away from her kids, her family, her life, and it's time to start speaking up with the media over the last year, telling the world who they think she is, what she's done, and how they think she's lived her life. She said, "You took an innocent mom away from her babies, and this means war." Kouri will be back in court again on June 21st. Those are for motions to disqualify the prosecutors, to suppress the walk the dog letter, and we might get a new date for that preliminary hearing, which was postponed after her counsel withdrew their representation. That is some of the updates. Guys, I have so many filings to weed through. That is it for today. Hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon, evening, wherever you are in this big world, and we will see you soon.